That's why they're all saying that it was the moderators that won the debate.
Yes, it was a 3-on-1 debate. It was disappointing that she didn't have her feet held to the fire.
We had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump.
I can confidently say it was the most biased, embarrassing thing that I've ever seen on television. And I thought some of the debates that Hillary Clinton was in were bad.
I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News.
So it was infuriating to watch them fact check you and not her.
If you are a Trump fan, and if you think that Trump didn't actually perform unbelievably well tonight, which I think is true, I don't think he did an amazing job tonight, the easy out is, yeah, because the media were targeting him.
All right, let's get to the copium.
Folks, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris just went toe-to-toe on the biggest political stage in the world. Let me tell you, the real battle is actually just beginning. Daily Wire is right on the front line. So
Oh, my God.
dailywire.com/subscribe.
Oh, you're still shilling. This is a 5-minute video.
Don't know anything about her positions, and they still don't know anything about her positions because the moderators never pressed her on any of her positions, and Donald Trump didn't either. On Donald Trump's side of the aisle, Donald Trump did not perform tonight. He didn't do an amazing job calling her on her BS. The best thing he said all night was his closing statement, which is what he should have opened with. He closed with, "Why didn't you do it?" That should have been the very first thing he said in the debate. And the fact that that wasn't what he said right off the top was a mistake. He was also incredibly distractible tonight. He took the bait on nearly every question. Every time she said something that you knew was going to get his goat, he just let it happen. So, for example, when she gave him the bait on his crowd sizes, on people are leaving your crowds, they're leaving your rallies, he couldn't resist going after her about the crowd size. What about January 6th?
What's with the weird camera angle? So they're doing the show where it's a bunch of old men sitting around smoking cigars, talking about how, fascism might not be a bad idea, actually, and that, women have too many rights these days, just guy stuff.
The election of 2020. These are all distractions. The only thing that mattered tonight for Donald Trump was defining her, and he did not define her, which means that I still check the calendar. We still have a couple months till the election. She is going to have to be defined. The big takeaway from this is not going to be about Trump.
Well, yeah, y'all have been trying. You only have 2 settings, racism, sexism. That's the only 2 speeds you've been using on this so far. Are you coming up with a third thing? A novel third thing?
Who still remains Trump. And it's really not going to be about Harris, who performed the best I think it's possible for Kamala Harris to perform, which is to say she was fairly obnoxious. She lied a lot. She said a lot of things that were untrue.
Fact check, please. I want to hear the untrue things. I'll agree with you on the Israel segment. I'll agree with you on the America needs to have the most lethal army in the world segment. I can agree with you on the we have to beat China in the AI war segment. That kind of stuff is just kind of ridiculous. But on the Donald Trump stuff, no, I think she was very, very on point.
She was never called on any of that. The big takeaway is going to be the continued destruction of the legacy media on behalf of the Democratic Party. The legacy media have decided, full scale, they are now apparatchiks of the Democratic Party. They are so far up Kamala Harris's ass that they're...
Again, this idea that legacy media is hyper woke and all this kind of stuff. Legacy media, especially mainstream television news reports, all that kind of stuff, it skews much older by demograph, and that's the reason why CNN went from being kind of a centrist to center left to a center right network, because again, as your age demograph continues to be older, as more and more young people don't have cable and decide to have cable 2, which is just internet with downloadable streaming services for the same price as cable. They're probably going to get their internet from online sources, social media, Twitch streamers, podcasters, scum and villainy, essentially.
Doing active colonoscopies with their eyeballs. It's unbelievable watching David Muir ask questions to Donald Trump like, why are you so bad and orange and mean? And then turning to Kamala Harris and saying, and why is he so bad and orange and mean? It's absolutely insipid and totally insane. The media tonight were beyond the worst expectations that I had for them. I thought that they were going to do a baseline creditable job because CNN did. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, they actually did that in the last debate. They actually asked questions and let people answer them. David Muir became an active participant in this debate. Lindsey Davis became an active participant in the debate. And then they never once fact-checked Kamala Harris, who lied over and over and over. She lied. She said, for example, that Donald Trump was a backroad Project 2025. A lie. She said...
What did you say there? I mumbled it.
Trump was a backroad Project 2025.
Was a backer of Project 2025. I think thanks to the gay furries, we know that to be a truth, that a enormous amount of Trump campaign staffers are also people who were working on Project 2025. He doesn't need to necessarily be the architect of it. He doesn't need to be the president or CEO of the Heritage Foundation. But if you look at the amount of connections there are between Trump officials, Trump, ex-cabinet, members, as well as his staff and campaign contributors, yes, they're all deeply embroiled within Project. That's not a lie.
A lie. She said that Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville riots, including the neo-Nazis. That is a lie. It's been debunked repeatedly. They did not say that that was a lie. She said that he had said that he was going to unleash a blood.
I mean, the clip exists.
You're calling the alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want.
The Nazis, the Tiki Torch Nazi guys, the ones who were screaming blood and soil, Richard Spencer, those people.
But that's the way it is.
It's on both sides, sir. You said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really both siding a thing between neo-Nazis and people who oppose neo-Nazis. And again, the people who are opposing the neo-Nazis, one person got killed by a neo-Nazi.
Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as neo, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people.
Kind of verbatim what he said, actually. Like, when you say that it's a lie to imply that, and the clip, like, how long did that take me? 3 seconds, 4 seconds to find? No, that's not a lie. He said that out loud. That's that thing that happened. Again, on one end, there was anti-Semitic and racist neo-Nazis with tiki torches screaming about blood and soil, Jews will not replace us, that kind of shit. And on the other side, there were people who are against that. There's not fine people on both sides. There's Nazis and people who oppose Nazis.
Bloodbath on the country if you lost. That's a full-scale lie. They never fact-check a single thing that she did the entire night. And actually, that helps Trump. And it helps Trump for a very simple reason. If you are a Trump fan, and if you think that Trump didn't actually perform unbelievably well tonight, which I think is true, I don't think he did an amazing job tonight, the easy out is, yeah, because the media were targeting him. And if you're a moderate watching this, I think that it had to be apparent, even to moderates, even to independents, the media want Kamala Harris elected. They're doing their best to make sure that Kamala Harris is elected.
So, by the way, in the last debate with Joe Biden, certainly I thought there were parts in which, the moderators were grilling Joe Biden on parts of his policy or history or stuff like that, as they should, by the way. The moderators should do that. But at the end of the day, I walked away from that debate being like, that was Joe Biden's loss. It's not on the moderators to run Joe Biden for president of the United States. It's for Joe Biden to run for Joe Biden for the president of the United States. It's up to him to be able to convey his ideas. It's up to him to be able to debunk or argue against Donald Trump's policies or platform. That's all on Joe Biden. If he can't even communicate what he's trying to say, it doesn't matter how biased I think the moderators are. Oh, the fucking mods, the mods were out of control. Like, no, that really just profoundly shows you how bad Donald Trump did. If you're like now saying that this was an attack, a definite planned attack by the media, this from start to finish, you can tell the entire thing was rigged. Like, I think they went out of their way to make sure that, like, hey, we're not going to have an audience, so it can't be swayed by boos and hollers and stuff like that. We're not going to have both mics on, although we did do it sometimes, but we're mostly going to have the mic shut off so each person can say something at any given time. We're both going to question both candidates on things that we believe that they have either lied about or flip-flopped on, which is what they did to Kamala as well. I mean, you could say that, like, oh, it was very unfair of them to start grilling her on how much she's changed and how she used to be a lot more progressive and how she used to care about Medicare for all and she used to care about, like, ending fracking and she used to care about the Green New Deal, and now she's just abolished all those, like, what are you doing, mods? Why are you attacking her? Don't attack her on her actual policy positions. Don't attack her on the things that she's 180ing and flip-flopping on. Why would you? Oh, I hate the mods so much. Like, no. Again, you're vying for the president of the United States. You're going to be asked questions.
Tomorrow, we'll revert right back to where we were before this debate. We'll revert right back to Kamala Harris is vibes, and she is joy, and she is policy vagary, and she'll never answer another question. She's going to try and get all the way from here to the election without ever answering another question. There will be no more debates. She's going to declare that she won. The media will declare that she won and that Trump lost. Trump really has no interest in doing another debate because I frankly don't think that it's in his interest to do another debate at this point. So that was the last presidential debate of this election cycle. The bottom line is that when all is said and done, it seems like a lot of this is baked into the cake. And in the moment, it's uncomfortable because it was such an opportunity. You know, if you're like me and you're sitting there, you're like leaping out of your seat. Why won't he just say it? Why won't he just say it? It's very frustrating. She will say something about how race shouldn't divide us. And you're
because he fucking sucked. You can just say that, you know? Like, I'm not even a fan. I hate Joe Biden. I think he's a fucking disgusting racist ass war criminal. But even then, I can say Joe Biden performed horrifically in his debate against Donald Trump. Wasn't the mods. Was not an outside conspiracy of the media to destroy him.
Sitting there going, what the actual living, like, you are a case in point of a person who divides based on race. It's what you do for a living. It's how you became vice president of the United States. She will
see, that's racism right there. You're doing it. You're doing the whole thing, trying to divide people based on race. If you keep implying that someone's only hired if they happen to be multiracial because they're multiracial, like the whole purpose of those programs and why a lot of them came at, you know, at the height of the civil rights movement in the United States was because there was unfair hiring practices and discrimination towards people of color. And that's one of the things implemented, in that you should start to have more diversity within your own workplaces. That if the population of the United States is 13 to 14% black, then if a company, and most major companies have less than 2% black employees, that should speak to something here, right? That there should be perhaps an opportunity for people who wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise to be able to go to secondary or post-secondary education or post-secondary educational institutions. This is not about oppressing white folk or trying to divide the country based on race. The country is already divided based on race. It's got a long history of racism and segregation and Jim Crow and slavery and the genocide and oppression and reservation system of indigenous people. Like, all of that is part of American history. It's baked into the fabric of the country. Like, that's why, again, the right wants to ignore all that. The right wants to be like, oh, let's not teach that in history course. Let's not teach about how slavery was bad. We should be teaching alternate history about how, well, yes, parts of slavery, we have to admit, were maybe uncouth, but they did learn skills. You know, slaves learned useful skills. So why don't we teach that in Florida schools?
Say things about Afghanistan. They'll ask her about whether she has any regrets, and she'll say no. And instead of him coming back and saying, don't you regret the 13 dead American soldiers whose families you ignored? You're just waiting for him to take the opening. But the problem was that he'd been set off earlier in the debate. He was incredibly distractible. He was following every squirrel down every particular rabbit hole. Again, the best moment I thought of the debate for Donald Trump was that closing statement where he finally laid out the big question. If you say you have...
His closing statement was horrible. I was surprised. I at first was like, this can't be his closing statement. He's not using this as yet another unfounded, baseless attack moment instead of proposing what he offers to the American people. That's what your closing statement is supposed to be. Like, my opponent wants to divide America. I want to give Americans hope. I want to speak for every American and represent you and help the middle class and help working families and help people who are poor and can't afford childcare. That's what you're supposed to do in your closing statements.
All these big plans. Why don't you do any of those things? But in the final analysis, I can be pissed at the media. I can feel discomfort with how the debate went tonight. This is still a tight race. It's not going to become a not tight.
Well, yeah, I know. That's pretty, you know, that speaks worse to a lot of, like, Democrats. This one should be an easy win for you in terms of how bad and unelectable Trump not only is, both for his criminality, his, you know, history, his being a serial rapist, all that kind of stuff. But in addition to that, he's picked one of the most deeply unlikable, if not, I think at this point, the most unlikable vice presidential candidate in U.S. history. So that should also give you a bit of an advantage, right? And maybe you got to stop doing things like this. So there was a special guest star that was announced yesterday that was going to appear in the post-debate, circle with Kamala Harris and Walz and their team. Turns out that they were Trump administration officials, including the Scaramouche, the good old Scaramucci. Vice President Kamala Harris is bringing two unusual guests to tonight's debate in Philadelphia, two former officials of her opponent's administration. As part of our campaign's ongoing effort to use former President Donald Trump's former allies to get under the skin in the lead up to Tuesday night's debate, as they seek to woo both prominent Republican officials and rank-and-file voters who oppose Trump in what will certainly be a close election. I mean, if this is honestly, if you're going to go in this route where it's like we're going to now showcase how every single person who was either a Republican or was close to Trump or may have supported the Republican Party in the past is now voting for Kamala Harris because of how fucked up Trump is, why not just like separate these two into like, there's Kamala HQ, they're brat, they're unburdened, they're all this, and then there's whatever you want to call this other entity or promotional organization that works to spread that information, but don't combine the two. Like, we shouldn't be seeing Dick Cheney at Kamala Harris events in the upcoming future. That would be an absolute disaster. Speaking of disasters, Elon Musk breaks debate silence with bizarre offer to impregnate Taylor Swift. This is a real headline. It is a thing that happened. If you didn't know, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris right after the debate. Mic drop kind of a moment, obviously I would assume pre-planned, and that has gotten a lot of Republicans exceptionally angry, as if it was some kind of surprise, as if it was like, oh, this came out of left field. Well, I mean, she has a history of supporting Democratic candidates. She has a history of trying to get her fans to register to vote. I'm not entirely shocked by the Taylor Swift endorsement. I am shocked by this, though. Because again, what melted in your brain that made you think that, like, I think he's like, again, all of these people are in such a fucked up, profoundly misogynistic mode 24/7. Like, listen to Dave Rubin talk about this.
How this fits into the pop culture part of this, because pop culture is a huge driver of the cultural narrative. Well, here's the tweet from Colin Rugg about the Taylor Swift thing, and we'll get back to it in a second. So as we referenced before, Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris on Instagram. After the debate on ABC, proudly calls herself a childless cat lady. Elon Musk, who they hate, he saw that, and he wrote this: "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life." So he's mocking, he's exposing the ridiculousness, right? It's like, Taylor Swift, you are a young, pretty girl. Do you know what the gang members from Venezuela do to young, pretty girls?
Now, I don't know if it's just years and years and years of living in their echo chambers and reinforcing a lot of these fucked up stereotypes and stuff like that. But like, I think these monsters at this point are incapable of speaking about women without somehow trying to imply threats of rape or sexual assault or physical violence. That seems to be the way that they constantly talk about this. Like, it's not profoundly strange and like deeply, deeply disturbing that Elon Musk would put something like that out there. He's just trying to bring attention to the fact that, like, do you know what the Venezuelan gangs are going to do to you because you're a young, pretty girl? And when they arrive, obviously, you know what Venezuelans do. So like, when they get into the country, I mean, obviously it's not going to be safe for you, but Elon Musk is going to protect you. And so that's what he was trying to say.
It ain't pretty. So what do we have to do? We have to keep finding each other to whatever extent we can. We have to keep waking people up. It is the only chance we have in these remaining 60 days.
Yeah, the reason people are being alienated by your messaging is because it's profoundly gross. And like, yeah, this again goes back into the really, really fucked up section of why do you think this is normal? And how is this not completely negatively impacted your businesses? Like, I know they have been negatively impacted. I've seen the Tesla stock. I know it's a fraction of what it used to be, but it still hasn't bottomed out. It's still very overvalued for what it is. Even if it's at like 187 or whatever, that's still higher than the amount of cars or manufacturing or like actual product they produce. Elon Musk remained silent while Trump was blowing his first debate with Kamala Harris and issued a bizarre response to Taylor Swift endorsing Harris at the end of the night. The music megastar signed off with her endorsement, "With love and hope, Taylor Swift, childless cat lady." Musk, father of 12, broke his debate silence with an apparent offer to impregnate Swift. "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life." The normally hyperactive Musk subsequently retweeted a false claim about the ABC moderators fact-checking during the debate, then posted a more thorough explanation of his thoughts. "While I don't think the debate hosts were fair to Donald Trump, Kamala Harris succeeded exceeded most people's expectations tonight, Musk wrote. That said, when it comes to getting things done, not just saying nice-sounding words, I strongly believe that Trump will do a far better job. After all, if Kamala can do great things, why hasn't she? Biden rarely shows up for work, so she's basically in charge already. Not how the presidency works. The question comes down to this. Do you want current trends to continue for 4 more years, or do you want change? I want you to stop publicly sexually harassing women. I mean, he's finding new ways to do that, even if, like, they aren't his employees. He feels like he's found some kind of weird-ass cheat code or something. A new report reveals secretive influencer networks are spreading some of the worst attacks on Kamala Harris. A secret network of influencers were paid big bucks to spread sexual rumors about Kamala Harris, according to a new Semaphore investigation. The investigation delves into weird political networks of posters led by an unknown individual who made it their mission to smear Kamala Harris about her sex life. One person made as much as $20,000 for being a part of the scheme. While the group first organized around generic Republican talking points to support Donald Trump after an emergency war room Kamala messaging meeting following President Joe Biden's choice to step aside, the network shifted gears to talk about Harris's sexual activities. They compared Harris to Haley Welsh, the hawk to a girl who went viral after discussing oral sex. In August, Trump elevated similar attacks on Harris, posting a meme on Truth Social featuring photos of Harris and Hillary Clinton, alongside the comment, "Funny how blowjobs impacted both of their careers differently." Other conservative posters also emphasized Harris's previous relationship with California politician Willie Brown and television host Montel Williams. Meanwhile, the right-wing influencer group moved in secret. In Zoom meetings, they kept their cameras off and operated under aliases, but Semaphore was able to ID one participant, former New York Representative George Santos. Of course. After the plan to sexually smear Harris materialized, the disgraced former congressman said he rejected the messaging and left the call, according to the participant who spoke with Semaphore. On July 24th, less than 48 hours after the influencer call, Santos posted on X criticizing conservative influencers talking about Kamala's sex life and race rather than legitimate issues. Please God, make it stop. I don't pay my bills or fill up my car with this nonsense. Odd thing to say.
Emily, because I guess she decided, oh, this will be fun to crap on him when he's down, when she perceives him as down. Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris. Taylor Swift, yeah. She posted a picture of herself with her cat. Would you look at this? You can, of course. Like, you can kiss your sales to the Republican audience goodbye, Taylor. Hope you enjoyed them while you had them.
Oh no. What am I gonna do? Taylor Swift's sales suddenly affected by conservative consumers.
And this is what she posts. Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now's a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on the topics that matter to you most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies, etc. Recently, I was made aware that an AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to its site, blah, blah, blah. And the simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I am voting for Kamala because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she's a steady-handed, gifted leader. And I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of her running mate, Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. Oh, my God. So this woman is fine with his plan to take custody of the children from parents who don't want them to chop off their body parts and put them in Minnesota court's custody so the body parts can be chopped off and they can be sterilized.
Now, if you're listening to this being like, wait, what the fuck? Megyn Kelly, I didn't know she was this extreme. Oh, yeah. She's like one of the examples of the like black mold effect when you have just the turf brain rot, how fast you just condescend. Like, they spiral so quickly. You know, British people throw away their entire legacies for this kind of shit. Like, once they get the transphobic brain worms in their own minds, they can't stop themselves. And it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. And then all of a sudden you're talking to Megyn Kelly. He used to be kind of more of a center-right but moderate Fox News host style Republican who was actually kind of friendly to some LGBTQ plus issues and stuff like that, to just hardcore nonsense, you know, fucking weird, bizarre, torturous fantasies that she has. And constantly when you hear her talk about these issues now, she's like, they're trying to mutilate the body parts. You can literally see the penises and bags and stuff like that. You're like, Jesus Christ. She never used to be this rough. Oh, it's the transphobic brainworms. I get it. I'm not going to play this clip because apparently it has some slurs, but InfoWars host Owen Schroyer performs a racist impression of Kamala Harris using an anti-black slur. The whole thing is here, but of no surprise. Again, Infowars is a white supremacist network. Alex Jones gives it a lot of cover because of all the memes and the frogs and the gay frogs, and it's all super funny, and everyone loves the gay frogs, blah, 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 all that kind of shit. And you're all just like, yeah, he's funny, right? But no, he's a white supremacist, has been promoting white supremacists, has white supremacists on his network, is constantly pushing great replacement conspiracy theories. Like the guy, it's one of those people where the memes have run a lot of cover for his truly despicable shit. I haven't seen the Donald Trump post shows.
100% of the stories covered on ABC about Kamala, 100% of the time was positive. 93% of the time when they covered you, it was negative. So it was infuriating to watch them fact check you and not her when she brought up IVF, when she brought up Project 2025 several times.
Oh, you mean when Donald Trump said that he's like, what was it, the master of fertilization or something? Like, he said the grossest line.
And when she brought up Charlottesville, here are some of the lies that she said about you. Listen.
A detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and
no lie detected there.
And dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If
No
Donald
lie
Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the
where are the lies?
president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140.
James from the internet. Thanks for the rating party of 112. Welcome in, Russian comrades, here to listen to all of the RT-based news. Yes, and deliver me my paycheck, James. I deserve one. Can everyone go to twitch.tv/James from the internet? Give James a follow back. We're just dealing with the copium, and it's so sweet. There's just so much of it. So much right-wing copium going on right now. It's the only thing that's really kind of like, helping soothe all my left-wing kind of disappointment with the debate, because I wish I could just get into the brat summer of it all, but it's just really hard with the whole, most lethal army. We will do everything to help Israel and its right to defend itself and destroy and defeat Hamas kind of stuff. So, but I get it. It's not for me. It's not for lefty Canadian streamers. It's for normie Americans to win an election. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on. T-minus 2011. Thank you very much for gifting a tier 1 sub. And King Kong Chiro, thank you very much. Been hanging out in YouTube chat, but I came back to sub and tell you how awesome you are. Chico is love. I appreciate that. I agree. And Dango Bangle, thank you for the other 199. TV killed the radio, but the net revived the radio. It's true, because now you can listen to the sound of my voice and look at the picture of my Chico. Look at that little croissant. Always sleeping so peacefully. I still can't believe he hasn't gone to the bathroom. I've taken him for 2 separate 45-minute walks, and he hasn't done his number 2. I think he's going to wake up at a certain point and be like, Dad!
Law enforcement officers were injured. And
T-minus 2011, thanks for the other gifted sub to Ed Dreck, 1312.
some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
And the bloodbath, you were talking about the economy. It's a term that's used a lot when people are talking about a bad economy. What's your reaction to why didn't the moderators correct her?
Because they're dishonest and because I think ABC took a big hit.
Why didn't you? You were there. You were given more speaking time than she got. I looked at the numbers. Trump got effectively way more speaking time and way more opportunities to speak. The stats speak for themselves. Here is the debate broken down by the numbers. Kamala Harris spoke for 37.1 minutes. Amount of time she spoke, 23. Donald Trump spoke for 41.9 minutes. Amount of time he spoke, 39.
Last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization. They have to be licensed.
T-minus 2011, thanks for the other gifted sub. Appreciate you.
To do it. They ought to take away their license for the way they did that. Bloodbath was referring to the economy. Everybody loved the term because as soon as they heard the word, it's sort of a vicious word. But referring to the economy, they have created an economy. Bloodbath was the word that I used. And it was fine in that context. And they were trying to make it sound like there was a riot or something, and it was a bloodbath. IVF, I was a leader on IVF. The IVF, which is fertilization, I was a total leader on that.
The IVF, which is fertilization. I'm the leader on fertilization. That's what he said. I'm the leader on fertilization.
When I first heard about it, like right from the beginning, I was one of the
Quite
leaders on
185.
it,
Thank you very much.
and the Republican Party has been a leader on it. She tried to say it was just the opposite. The whole thing with abortion, what he said, I mean, it was incredible. I think he corrected me 6 times, and each time
Mr.
I was
President?
right. I believe each time I was right, didn't correct her at all, and she was saying these things. She was using, like, Charlottesville. She was using Charlottesville, and everybody, you take a look at Laura Ingraham, she did it incredibly. She had it totally debunked. She said that, in fact, it makes it angry. She gets angry when people hear about Charlottesville when they use that, because what they did is they stopped and they didn't put the following sentence in. And when they put the last sentence in, when it was all put together, what I said was absolutely perfect. And ABC knew that. Everybody knew that, frankly.
Perfect.
I think they lost a lot of credibility. But regardless, look, the polls are saying that I won that by 80-20, 90. We have one here, 92-7, and I
What
sort
poll?
of believe that's right. I thought, look, I've been told I'm a good debater.
Can you name the poll?
I think it was one of my better debates, maybe my best.
Was it the Trump Social poll? Yeah, we ran a poll on Trump Social. I won by 92%.
Debate, I think. I don't know. That's why I'm disappointed in this guy, Harold Ford. I don't know if he's still there, but I don't know what he was watching, because he was just as dishonest as ABC, in my opinion.
Well, you didn't. Even, like, you know, your own fans have been saying it. That's why they're all saying that it was the moderators that won the debate.
Yes, it was a 3-on-1 debate. It was disappointing that she didn't have her feet held to the fire.
Oh, it was a Newsmax poll. Oh, wow. Unbiased source. Cool. Newsmax. Newsmax viewers thought Trump won the Trump versus Kamala Harris debate.
By the moderators, they went out of their way to try to do that to Donald Trump. But I think people that take away from this debate, even with all that, Donald Trump is the candidate that's going to change things. Kamala Harris is the candidate that, as President Trump said in his closing statement, she's been there 3.5 years. Why hasn't she fixed any of these problems during that time? She does not have an answer to that question. Yes, it was a 3.
Remember Ron DeSantis? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. shreds ABC News moderators for ganging up on Trump. Oh, no. On Newsmax.
We had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. None of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass.
Cope. Trump is in the spin room ranting about poll numbers fed to him by his campaign. I think the best debate, personally, that I've ever had.
We're getting polls that show 92 to 6, 88 to 11. We're having a lot of great polls that just came out. Polling is full polls and lots of other polls, but you see the polls. A very important
Is the Fox News cameraman drunk? Or just, I guess it's just a lot of people probably just getting bumped.
debate. Now, she wants to do another one because she got beaten tonight, but I don't know. Why wouldn't you look at her?
Why wouldn't you look at her? That's a urinalism.
The polls are indicating that we got 90%, 60%, 72%, 71%, and 89%.
Where are you getting these numbers from?
Very good. But beyond the polls, I felt very good. I had a good time doing it. I hate to speak about our country so negatively, but that's what happened. They ruined our country.
89,
They destroyed our
92,
country. So I hope you're all having
99%.
a good time.
You're all having a good time. Cool stuff. But hey, there was no one who was melting down harder and faster than the quartering. When you're so misogyny coded, your default setting when yapping about politics is to monger about women's right to vote. Quartering. The October surprise will be Democrats using the 25th Amendment to force Joe Biden out officially and make Kamala Harris the incumbent. It won't work, but they will try. It's in version history. The October surprise will be Democrats using the 19th Amendment to force Joe Biden out officially and make Kamala Harris the incumbent. It won't work, but they will try. And then last night, how was he doing? Taylor Swift is a stupid twat who can't keep literally any man happy. Please tell me who is this twat is voting for. I am holding my breath. The steal is on. Good night. 98.5% of voters don't care about debates, especially voters on ABC. I thought this was my best debate ever, especially since there was 3-on-1. Fair. Trump should refuse all debates unless they are on Fox. I believe I'm saying this, but CNN was actually far superior to ABC. This was the most biased BS I've ever seen. In hostile territory, the best grade I can give for Trump is a C-. He lost. Cope and seethe or whatever, but he did. Yes, he lost the 3v1, but he lost. He got triggered and got off topic because he lost a solid 5-point lead ahead in leading the betting markets. Get back at it. They're all so polymarket poisoned. Like, please do not use Polymarket, aka the cryptocurrency betting markets, to judge whether or not this election is going to go one way or another. The way that the Quartering and Tim Pool and all of them keep using Polymarket. I don't know if they're sponsored. Are they sponsored by Polymarket? They're always posting like, Polymarket shows Trump leading. Polymarket shows Trump crushing Kamala in all states. Polymarket shows Polymarket. Yeah, I mean, these are the cryptocurrency-based gambling markets. I'm not like, what do they mean in reality? In terms of like, maybe you look towards the Vegas betting markets because yes, they're most likely trying to secure that bag. It didn't cost them the election, but it will cost them a week of headlines. What is your plan, you dumb twat? All-time terrible performance by Trump. He got triggered and let that loser run a full hour of TV. He has the final word. Hope he kills it. Worst, most biased debate in history. Kamala will never agree to another. Trump has to go full attack mode. Trump lost the first hour. Time to go attack mode. Completely rigged against Trump. Rigged. Okay, Trump has to go on the attack now. Not a great debate for Trump so far. Gotta finish strong. He did it to her. Trump is triggered. Calm down. Trump has taken a really bad 50 minutes here. He's debating Kamala and the moderators. He's got to unleash. ABC is very biased. They're only fact-checking Trump, even though Kamala Harris is lying nonstop. So on his YouTube channel, we're getting mixed messages. There's two distinctive videos here. There's Donald Trump destroys Kamala Harris. Most savage moments. Next to rigged debate. Yeah. And the bias backfired. So I'm not entirely sure who to believe between the two of you. Again, getting very mixed messages. Oh, that's Glenn Greenwald. But let's check out rigged debate. Let's see how rigged.
I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting. It was 3 against 1. The numerous fact checks on what he said and none on what she said. None. And she lied repeatedly. When Trump tried to say that his comment that he lost 2020 by a whisker was him being sarcastic, David Muir actually injected saying, I didn't hear sarcasm. Who gives a shit what you heard?
Ooh, yeah. Dropping the thug life memes 2024. I guess this is inevitable when, as your editor, your team, you're all millennials, you're eventually going to have to stick with what you know instead of dropping maybe like a skibidi toilet.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and yikes. I watched the debate last night, so you didn't have to. And I think,
why did everyone keep saying that? That's not just a right-wing thing. That was everybody. Leftists were saying it too. Like, hey, everyone, I'm watching the debate, so you don't have to. And I was like, I saw like 40 different posts of people saying that. I was like, I think everyone's just watching it. I think people are watching it. They might be watching it with people that they enjoy the company of, say like you're a lefty, you want to watch it on one of our channels, or if you're a right-winger, you want to watch it in the piss basement. Sure. But I think everyone was still kind of watching parts of it.
I can confidently say it was the most biased, embarrassing thing that I've ever seen on television. And I thought some of the debates that Hillary Clinton was in were bad.
Yeah, with Hassan. Hassan, you traitor.
This was not.
Don't give in to his beautiful ways.
Nonsense. There were literal moments where Donald Trump was debating the moderators. Everybody saw it. And normies, look, I would understand if normies or why normies say, oh, well, Kamala Harris won. I mean, it was 3v1. They fact-checked her on nothing, which I'm going to go over right now. And yeah, I think Trump could have done better. They pushed the right buttons on him about his, he's so sensitive about his debate or his rallies. He got a little unhinged at times. Kamala's already asking for another debate. I think Trump should do it. I think
it's actually kind of funny that there's like not only so much copium, but that there's an actual recognition by every single right-wing pundit that we've looked at so far in that Trump really easily got baited into that, like like even the right wingers like, oh shit, he took the bait. Yeah. Cause again, she wasn't like, Trump is weak on immigration and that should provoke you into being like, you want to talk about immigrants? Let me talk to you about Haitian people eating cats and dog. It was, I invite you to go to his rallies. They're boring. People leave early. His crowd sizes are very small. And that was enough. That alone was like, the Kamal HQ team must have been behind the scenes like, because like, oh yeah, I too would be like, yep, oh no, he's going for it, and he is just digging in deep, and he looks utterly ridiculous right now. Just again, he's got one setting, just reverted to old racist brain,
The fact that she's asking for another debate means that they believe they're still wrong. Let's just look at some of the absurd bias that was going on. By the way, until the end of the
nah, thanks.
Do you guys still need me here? We're calm.
The absurd bias. Allow me to show you cartoons. Cartoons are definitely going to prove my point. Right-wingers. We played this clip just to laugh at it already. And again, all of these things that they're saying were not debunked in the fact-checking they're trying to bring up. You can fact-check the fact-checking. Trump did say there were fine people on both sides. I played the clip for all of you. Are you trying to say that maybe he said a different word, or he messed up a word, or something?
From the FBI to, quote, fact-check Donald Trump's statistics, painting falsely optimistic picture of public safety while real Americans continue to suffer from rising crime.
Oh, so this is on the crime statistics. So yeah, at that part in the debate, I was like, I don't know if she's going to do the right thing, which is to actually bring up the fact that violent crime is down overall, according to FBI statistics. And then she did. I was surprised at that. And that's an important thing to bring up, because Trump's one line is consistently like, there's chaos. The streets are running with Haitian gang members and Venezuelan gang members. They're breaking into houses. They're eating animals. They're, brutal savages, and we have to stop them. And she's got an open border policy. And Joe Biden has literally let a billion immigrants, illegal immigrants, run into the country. They're taking over. They're destroying everything. So you can just bring up like these are just falsifiable lies. Yeah, if you look at the actual FBI statistics. But then the answer to that is that, well, the FBI has changed the way that they actually look at crime statistics. So crime is actually skyrocketing. It's out of control, and the FBI is just not capturing it properly. Yeah, that's why.
Again, they're not doing any. Can you explain that? One big miss that Donald Trump had, I think, is when she came against Trump, they just let it slide. Here's more proof that the ABC moderators were the furthest thing from moderators. Kamala Harris repeated the exact same lie.
Kamala Harris repeated the same lie that Trump called neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. He did. He had reporters who were talking to him in that press conference specifically mentioning what was happening, saying that when you say both sides, because he kept mentioning how there was extremists on the left, kept talking about extremist Antifa. No one ever talks about the extremists on the left, the leftist extremists. Why don't they bring that up? And the reporters were trying to focus and be like, this is very distinctly a situation where there was a whole bunch of neo-Nazis who arrived with tiki torches. They were organized. Richard Spencer was amongst them. They were chanting things like blood and soil. Jews will not replace us. I don't know how much more clear they need to be about what they're all about, but that was one side. And so to say that there was very fine people on both sides is a profoundly fucked up thing to say when one of those sides is Nazis. Nazis calling for the extermination of the Jews. Nazis calling for, like, the superiority of the white race, the blood and soil chant, like all of that shit. They made their messaging very clear. The other side were against fascism, anti-fascists. That's the other side. I would say that those are fine people who oppose fascism, people who oppose Nazism, that kind of stuff. But to keep saying, like, he didn't literally say that white supremacist neo-Nazis are very fine people. That's just not true. That's not what he said. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at the context. And then, yes, he is implying in this context that there were fine people on both sides. There were not fine people on both sides. One side was Nazis.
That Trump called
Yeah, Heather Heyer was killed by a Nazi extremist. Those were not fine people.
Very fine people. We talked about that. Watch Tulsi Gabbard fact-check Harris's pathetic lies. She tried to say he supported a federal abortion ban. Level out. But the level of absurdity and bias in last night's debate is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for ABC. If Trump wins the election, he should absolutely, unequivocally bar them from being them. Like saying, why don't you leave the debate and go wake up the president? Not checking them. Again, all of these, it is so insane. I'm going to have lots of coverages on this today. I know I'm sure that it's boring. Yeah, this was so.
Your coverage is often and always boring. So that is true. This is the only factual statement you've made so far. So I agree. But yeah, the copium's been great. Again, if you're a liberal, I'm sure you're celebrating today because that was a decided victory for Kamala Harris. As someone who doesn't want to see Donald Trump get elected and then, turn the United States into a full fascist dictatorship, I would like to see him get defeated. It's obviously very good to have elements of that. She does not represent me as a leftist. If I was an American, again, I would be like, you're picking your enemy, but goddamn, is there a lot of work to do into the future in terms of consistently protesting and doing direct action and doing letter writing campaigns and everything to try and get the United States to stop supporting Israel and their genocidal death machine. That is something that's going to continue no matter who of the two candidates becomes the president of the United States. But it is very nice to see Donald Trump get exposed for the old racist, misogynist, and woman-controlling asshole that he is. And that's, that's a good thing. And then, yeah, it'd be very nice if he also doesn't win so he can go to jail. That would also be fucking awesome. If he spent some time in prison for his many crimes.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.